BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing, and we're into the home stretch for NBA and NHL playoffs. And there's more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NHL, and UFC. And in between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino. All the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino action. So BetOnline, the game starts here. Because let's be honest, I find Lucha very uninteresting. If you want to call a spade a spade.
Hey, so. WWE doesn't, right, Konnan? They bought the whole company, so yeah. Let's go with AAA and Ciudad de Mexico this past Saturday.
I would probably like AAA more or Mexican wrestling more if I could understand the promos. Because if guys cut good promos, I can't understand because they're not speaking English, and I'm a big promo guy. I could give a watching Lucha. You know me, I watching the WWE and AEW matches. I like the promos and the angles. You know.
To me, when I first saw Lucha Libre, I was maybe 22 or something like that. I mean, I started late. I didn't grow up with Lucha. I didn't know who luchadors were. The only guy I knew was Mil Mascaras. Puta madre. And so the first time I saw it was in Tijuana, and I had no clue what I was about to see. And I was just, first of all, that atmosphere was like nothing I'd ever seen. It was so raw and real, and people were just screaming, and they were really passionate. And I was like, then I see these guys flying with masks. There's nothing cooler than a mask. Flying with masks, doing that I had never seen in American wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. Then I saw a blood feud where these guys just beat each other like it was a street fight. And I was like, and everybody was dressed up like, you know, like Sunday when you're going to church, dressed up nice, you know, and I just became enthralled. Very soon after that, I met Eddie Guerrero because Chavo Guerrero was there, and Chavo was my idol. He cut excellent promos and could go. And so I was like, what are you doing here? And he goes, yeah, my brother Eddie's going to wrestle. I didn't even know he had a brother. And I was like, wow, that guy's really young. So they introduced me to Eddie, you know, and we were both bilingual, both border towns, both about the same age. I was probably 4 or 5 years older than him. And we just clicked. But, man, I think really, Harry, and I don't know, I think people really first got a good look at real Lucha Libre and Lucha Underground. And, bro, when you get a good Lucha match, it's hard to follow, bro. You know what I'm saying? So Disco may not like it, and that's cool. There's tons we don't agree on. But I still say that a good Lucha match with 6 guys that know what they're doing is hard to beat, bro.
Disco.
And that's what I hope to bring to WWE, because, you know, even when I was watching the Santos Phoenix match, that really wasn't a Lucha match. It was 2 luchadors doing an American-style match with some Mexican moves. No, I want like what you saw in Lucha Underground, which I had to fight for because they wanted to Americanize that.
Dude, even Lucha Underground, you looked at all the backstage stuff that they used to do and all the stories that they were telling, even though the crowd that was there, because it was pre-recorded and you didn't see like at a WWE show where you're seeing the promos on TV or in the ring, those fans were there exclusively for the Lucha. But once you saw the product on TV, it was like everything, the story, the Lucha, everything was perfect. And man, I do miss those first 2-3 seasons of Lucha Underground, because after that it went downhill. But man, that first year was special, and I got lucky. I was able to go to a couple of shows, and it got me into wrestling. Like,
now let me ask you a question: did you pay or were you invited?
No, I was invited. I used to work for Univision, so I got invited to a couple of shows.
So there was another guy that was invited, and he felt because he was invited, he needs to stand up and act like a complete.
Yeah,
was that you?
I went and I had fun, man. I didn't act or anything. I would stand up and have fun, like being able to watch Penta, Fenix, Santos Escobar, now Hijo del Fantasma, King Cuerno. Dude, I had no clue who Ricochet was. Like I literally the first time I saw him was Prince Puma, and then I met him at WrestleCon in Dallas in 2016, and I was like, "Wait, you're Prince Puma?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Ricochet. That's my character. I'm in Japan."
So I'd been following Ricochet for years, and I said the first guy you need to get is Ricochet, and then I recommended everybody from Monster Stash to Swerve Strickland. But yeah, Ricochet was special, bro. He pissed me off sometimes because he's the most incredible high flyer I've seen since Ray, and he always puts in like 70%. I'm like, dude, you put more effort when you were in PWG.
But you know what? Right now, I feel he's doing his best work because of the character he's doing.
Yeah,
Like he looks better with the Elite than Jack Perry did.
Persona wise, what happened to Jack Perry?
No clue. He disappeared from the
Wow.
face of the earth right now. But like, I'm enjoying Ricochet with the Elite. Like,
Yeah.
he's not doing
That's
all
the
this
best
spectacular
persona.
stuff.
That's the best persona he's ever done. But I know,
Oh, yeah.
I know early Ricochet when he could do, and it was mind blowing, bro. But anyways, yeah. But at least he's got his persona down.
And you know that he can wrestle whenever they ask him to, and hopefully we get to see another match with Osprey out there, hopefully with the World Championship on the line towards the end of the year. So let's go back to Lucha Libre AAA, the show in Mexico City this past Saturday. Konnan, were you there or were you remotely?
Yeah, I was there.
So talk to me about the crowd, because I've seen pictures, I've seen the images, and it was a sold out crowd, right?
Yep.
That's great, man.
For a
That's
company
great.
that really, according to our detractors,
Yeah. There was it seemed like there was a lot of empty seats, and if you look at the AI, there's like a lot of distortion in the faces and stuff. Everything if you do close up, so
So it was.
AI
you know what? He's right. It was actually empty,
right?
and then we AI generated like it was full.
That's why everybody was cheering for La Parca then, not because he looked spectacular in the ring.
No, it was AIJ.
It was all AI.
Yeah.
It says the AI has trouble making hands and fingers look right, DI. So if you wanted to investigate,
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely look at that.
Yeah. So, what did you want to know?
So this was the first show after the WWE announcement of the acquisition of AAA. Were WWE people in attendance to check out the product? Yeah,
they were there to look at the matches, basically help with production. Our rings are too hard, so they're going to send us some of their rings. But they were all there. Jeremy was there, and it was a good. The good thing is every time they've gone, it's been full, and it's been rabid, because one of the main things that they were telling me was, well, wow, this crowd's really hot, and they have hot crowds too.
Well, they found. Well, what's the crowd like been since they found out that the WWE purchased the AAA? What's been the tone of the wrestling community, the wrestling fans of Mexico on this purchase?
It's been 50-50. There's people that are like, wow, this is great for business. The other ones sell out. The only real Mexican wrestling company is going to be CMLL. But yeah,
it just depends let me give you
an example. And I think this is what AAA, because they got the WWE machine behind them, is going to embrace progress. Production quality. Producing a compelling, like a high quality television show.
Yes.
And I think that what CMLL doing is and that's why Tony likes his group. They're like embracing the concept of okay, we're the best wrestle.
Right.
Like the old school, thing, and and then that's going to be their niche. And it's like, you look at the, since AEW's invested in that, we're the best wrestle thing. It's like, bro, no, that hasn't gained any traction. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could sit there and say we're going to be old school and the thing, but bro, kid, that you got kids coming in. There's younger crowds now that they don't know about old school, wrestling. Bro, 10 years from now, you got guys that maybe that are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and 10 years from now they'll be growing up watching better produced television on Mexican TV of a wrestling product. You know what I'm saying? And the company that's going to try and stay we're going to stick to the traditional values, you're going to have a bunch of old people and just traditional wrestling fans. And it's just, you're going to see what happens. This is what happened here in the United States with AEW, WWE. WWE's advancing the things and, using drones and CGI and just everything. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Konnan?
No, I just think that at the end of the day, Arena Mexico has a lot of young guys on top that are really good. But I think the problem is they started to kind of get hot again when they were working with AEW, because for 6 years we were whooping. There is no other word but that. And we were the ones working with MLW and TNA and AEW. They weren't, you know.
Right.
And our wrestlers were so popular that they did something, and Harry can attest to this, that I'd never seen them do. They actually paid our wrestlers from AAA that weren't under contract to go wrestle with them, which was Pentagon and Phoenix. When they went there, they sold that out. And LA Park, he went there and sold that out. Huh?
And everybody knew the Cero Miedo. It was
Right.
Penta, the biggest star from AAA in recent years, and Místico, the biggest star in CMLL pretty much in the last 2 decades. And everybody in Arena Mexico was doing Cero Miedo, even though he had never performed in that arena.
Right. That's how hot, our stars were. Well, two of them are signed with WWE now. But then when AEW came aboard and they started to bring in, like, Chris Jericho and what are some other names?
Sasha came down, right? Mercedes.
Pretty sure Swerve went down there too.
Swerve didn't go with CMLL, I don't think.
He hasn't
came
been
with
there
us.
yet.
He came with us. But anyways, they started to get these Americans that they've heard about that never seen in AEW, which they don't really know how bad they are because they don't really show AEW in Mexico, right?
They just started on Fox Sports.
Yeah, on Fox. They just started on Fox. But bro, you can see the difference production wise, between the two companies, and that in itself is a big thing. And I just think now that the euphoria, it's almost like when what's AEW went to London the
To
first
Wembley?
time and they hit like 93 or 83,000.
83, something
Yeah.
around there.
Well, I don't think they would do that again because it's the first time they were there, right? And
They went the next year and they had like half of that. And then
Oh,
this
okay,
year
there
they're
you go.
going and they're going to an arena instead of a stadium.
There you go. See, so it's that first time curiosity buy, right? And it's the same thing over there. And I think that, bro, if I had to pick between and I wasn't like working for AAA, but if I had to pick between AAA and WWE and CMLL and AEW, to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, AEW is just the best in our business. I mean, WWE.
WWE.
Have
Yeah.
you
Yeah, and-
seen? There's an article here as I was looking around, Konnan. It says backstage update on CMLL's response to WWE AAA deal. If you want to hear that.
Let's hear it.
So this is from Dave Meltzer, a special column posted on Figure 4 Weekly. Dave's going to give some insight into what CML thinks of the deal, and says relaying the thoughts of Super Lucha's Ernesto Campo.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get this right. You mean the guy that put out and then then what's it's called? Meltzer basically, just regurgitated what he said. They said there were like 6 wrestlers from AAA that was already signed when none of it was true. That guy? All right.
Yes. So he says when talking about the list that we just discussed of AAA talent that have reportedly signed some sort of deal already, Meltzer explained WWE will be looking to bring in some of CMLL's top talent as well. CMLL are reportedly not going to make changes to their current wrestlers' contracts, something that both Ocampo and Meltzer see as a major red flag, as they will leave themselves at the mercy of whatever WWE wants to do in Mexico, and it will leave them in a similar situation. What happened with Stephanie? What are they calling her Record now? Backer? Okay, I changed how they were saying it. But it also says, Ocampo
It's
said
actually never changed, but go ahead.
CMLL needs to act immediately regarding their contracts and formulate a strict schedule with their partners so talent can't get poached.
Tony, let me ask you this. Have you guys mentioned, has there been any conversations about talent from CMLL?
Yes. But let me tell you this. Bro, you cannot stop the inevitable, right? So WWE has gotten anything they've wanted from anywhere they've wanted. If they wanted somebody from New Japan, if they wanted somebody from AAA, right? They're always going to get it because that's where everybody wants to be at the end of the day. If you're not in this business to end up there, then what are you actually doing? right?
Well, yeah, but WWE, bro, they've gotten people that they've wanted at their price point.
Right.
If guys have priced them way out, they've said, okay, fine, just
Right.
you guys can have them, because like they let they didn't
Right.
get Osprey, they didn't get Okada, like I said,
Yeah, because they weren't going to
thought,
overpay for them like a Mark.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But here's the deal, though. If you want a CMLL talent in WWE, you know that once they see dollars, it might not be the same amount that Okada and Osprey are getting paid, but you convert them to pesos, and you're like, hey, that's a pretty good salary for me. I'd rather go over there.
plus,
And
it's
I'm
a
in
hotter
WWE.
product, bro. When WWE goes, those three morons that Joe showed me yesterday, one guy had like a mask on. Did you see that, Harry?
No, I haven't.
So the guys, I don't know where they're from. Are they
Pretty
country?
random. It was pretty random.
Yeah, I don't know where these three idiots are from, right? But one guy's wearing a mask with a terrible accent, and he's like, "Oh, why I don't understand. They come here to Mexico and they don't draw good." And I'm like, "What?" They sell out every time they go to Mexico. They've got a huge fan base in Mexico. And now that they got all these Mexicans in, WWE, it's even matriculated more. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, a lot of these wrestlers grow up wanting to be in WWE just like their American counterparts and people all around the world. And once their contract is up, they want to go, then they want to make the money that, these people have made over there. Like, Andrade. They see, one of the things they see that's money is guys that were poor to like medium range, mid-carders, right?
Yeah.
That didn't have a lot of money. And then they come to United States, like Commander and all these guys, and they're nicely dressed, they're in a suit, they're in nice shoes, they're not in ragged, tattered that they were before because they had no money. You know what I'm saying? And they see them. They want to live that lifestyle too. And they see, Dralisico putting up pictures that, he's,
Out here in Las Vegas when they were
Vegas,
in town.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? He
Suit
takes
and
pictures.
tie.
Right, and they look, wow, that looks like fun. You know what I'm saying? So, I think at the end of the day, you can't stop, them. It was happening to us, bro. Anybody they called and they wanted, they could get. Yeah.
Yeah, I met him backstage when AEW was in town last out here in Las Vegas, and
Right.
he was dressed to the nines. He was
Right.
there with his lady, and I think he just did commentary that day. But he
Right.
was all dressed up, ready to go in case he was asked. And good dude. Shout out to Dralistico and shout out to Rush too. Now he's back on TV. But I think the shots that CMLL have done in recent weeks since the announcement has been like, while the Arena Mexico exists, Lucha Libre will never die, or 100% Mexican on their posters and all
That's
that
why
kind
you
of
just
stuff.
did a super card match with another promotion full of gringos.
By the way, that show yesterday that we took a look at was called Breaking Kayfabe.
So what?
Exactly.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.